What if I told you that Iron Man's story didn't end with that snap? What if the moment we all believed was a goodbye was actually a setup? And what if somewhere in the shadows of the multiverse, the greatest comeback in superhero history is already being prepared? We all watched it. We all felt it. The battlefield was silent. The dust was settling, and Tony Stark, our genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, lay still after saving the entire universe in Avengers Endgame. That snap wasn't just a cinematic moment, it was a cultural earthquake. It felt final, absolute, inevitable. The Infinity Saga closed with sacrifice, and Tony Stark became a legend. But here's the thing about legends in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They rarely stay buried. Most fans believe Tony's journey ended the second he said, "I am Iron Man." And emotionally, maybe it did. But if we step back and look at the MCU not just as a story, but as a carefully engineered machine where every detail is intentional, a different possibility begins to form. The question is not whether Tony Stark can return. The real question is, has Marvel been quietly preparing his return all along? Let's start with something that almost everyone ignored. After the final battle in Avengers Endgame, we saw Tony's funeral. We saw the lake. We saw the arc reactor floating gently on the water. We saw the heroes mourning. But did you notice what we didn't see? We never saw what happened to his body. In a universe where even a broken shield has narrative weight, the absence of such a crucial detail is strange. Marvel is known for its precision. Every prop, every line, every lingering camera shot often carries future significance. So why would they skip something so important? Why leave that thread open? Because maybe it was never meant to be closed. Imagine this. Pepper Potts standing there, holding her daughter's hand, knowing that Tony lived in a world where death was no longer permanent. She saw aliens invade New York. She saw time travel become reality. She saw the Infinity Stones bend existence itself. Pepper is not naive. She understands the world she lives in. So would she really accept that Tony Stark of all people was gone forever? What if she didn't? What if Tony's body was preserved, not out of denial, not out of desperation, but out of hope? In a world of Wakandan vibranium, Stark nanotechnology, and quantum mechanics, the line between life and death is thinner than ever. Cryogenic preservation is not science fiction in the MCU, it's just another Tuesday. It's entirely possible that Pepper, with access to Stark Industries' most advanced resources, secured Tony's remains in a high-tech cryo chamber. Not to mourn him forever, but to wait. Waiting for what? For a breakthrough, for a miracle, for the right moment. And that moment might be approaching faster than we think. The upcoming multiversal events in Avengers, Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars are not just random sequels. They are positioned as the culmination of everything the multiverse saga has been building toward. These films promise chaos on a scale we've never seen before. Realities colliding, timelines collapsing, heroes facing impossible odds. And in both projects, one name quietly stands out: Pepper Potts. Her return is not just nostalgia, it's personal. When the battlefield becomes multiversal and the threat transcends reality itself, the story circles back to the very beginning. Back to the man who started it all in Iron Man. Because here's the poetic truth. The multiverse saga cannot truly end without the hero who began the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The entire empire was built on Tony Stark's shoulders. To conclude this era without him would feel incomplete, and Marvel knows that. But there's more. Reports suggest that Robert Downey Jr. may not be done with Marvel. While many speculate about him portraying Dr. Doom, whispers hint at something even more ambitious: multiple roles, variants, reflections, twisted versions of a familiar face. Imagine this: the same actor embodying both the ultimate villain and the ultimate hero. Two sides of the same coin. Genius versus genius. Ego versus responsibility. And that brings us to one of the most chilling threads connecting all of this. Avengers. Age of Ultron. Remember Tony's nightmare? The vision where he stood alone in a ruined battlefield, surrounded by the lifeless bodies of his friends, Captain America's broken shield, Thor's fallen form, the sky burning above him. At the time, we thought it was just Wanda manipulating his fears. But what if it wasn't just a hallucination? Wanda's chaos magic doesn't simply distort perception, it cracks open layers of reality. It exposes alternate timelines. It reveals possible futures. When she touched Tony's mind, she may not have created a nightmare, she may have shown him something real. A glimpse of a darker timeline, a reality, where someone who looks like him, someone with his face, his intellect, becomes the architect of destruction. Enter Dr. Doom. If Doom is portrayed by the same man who once wore the Iron Man suit, the symbolism becomes explosive. It becomes personal, not just for the audience, but for the narrative itself. Tony Stark has always feared becoming the villain of his own story. He created Ultron out of fear. He built suits around the world because he didn't trust the world to survive without him. His greatest enemy was never Thanos. It was his own anxiety. Now imagine a version of Tony without guilt, without restraint, without love, evolving into something like Doom. A genius who believes he alone deserves to rule reality. A man who wants control not to protect, but to dominate. That is Tony's worst fear given form. And this is where the story deepens. Because resurrection in the MCU isn't simple. Natasha Romanoff's sacrifice was bound to the Soul Stone, a permanent exchange, a cosmic contract. But Tony's death was different. He wasn't claimed by a stone. He was destroyed by the energy surge of wielding them. His body gave out under unimaginable power. That distinction matters. And it opens the door for someone else. Franklin Richards. A child with the power to rewrite reality itself. A being whose cosmic abilities surpass even the Infinity Stones. If the universe is collapsing under the weight of multiversal war, and Doom's power is tearing existence apart, then the heroes will need something beyond technology, beyond magic, beyond strength. They will need a miracle. Franklin's abilities could restore what was lost, not by reversing a soul bargain, but by repairing a reality fractured beyond recognition. Bringing Tony Stark back wouldn't be undoing fate. It would be recalibrating the universe's balance. And if there was ever a moment to justify such an act, it would be when all hope seems extinguished. Picture this. The heroes are losing. Doom stands unstoppable, reshaping worlds. The Avengers are fractured, desperate, exhausted. Pepper watches as everything Tony fought to protect begins to crumble. And in that moment, the final contingency activates. Not a weapon, not a suit, but the man himself. A resurrected Tony Stark stepping forward. Not as a nostalgic cameo, but as the Resistance's last strategist. The mind that once outwitted gods and aliens. The leader who turned a group of misfits into Earth's mightiest heroes. This wouldn't be fan service. It would be narrative symmetry, full circle. The saga began with a man trapped in a cave building a suit to escape death. It could end with that same man returning from death itself to save everything one last time. But this time, it's different. This time, he knows the cost. He has already sacrificed everything once. Now he returns not out of ego, but out of responsibility. And what makes this even more powerful is the emotional weight. Morgan Stark growing up hearing stories of her father. Pepper living in the shadow of both grief and hope. The Avengers carrying the memory of the man who united them. Tony's comeback wouldn't just shake the multiverse, it would heal wounds that have lingered since Endgame. But here's the twist. What if Tony doesn't come back the way we expect? What if resurrection isn't about restoring the exact same man, but about confronting the version he feared becoming? Imagine Tony facing a Doom who shares his face. Two geniuses standing across from each other. One who sacrificed everything for others. One who believes others must sacrifice for him. It becomes more than a battle. It becomes a philosophical war. Is intelligence a gift or a curse? Is control the answer or is trust? Can a man outrun his darkest potential? Or must he confront it head on? The multiverse saga has been about identity, about variance, about the idea that every choice creates another version of you. Tony Stark's ultimate challenge may not be defeating Doom. It may be proving that he was never destined to become him. And that brings us back to that silent question we started with. Did Tony Stark really die? Or did he step aside, waiting for the moment when the universe would need him again? Because in storytelling, true endings are rare, especially for characters who redefine an era. Marvel didn't just create a hero with Iron Man, they built an emotional anchor, a symbol. Removing him permanently would close a door that the multiverse concept itself has unlocked. Every collapsing timeline, every incursion, every variant introduced since Endgame seems to whisper the same possibility. Not yet. His legacy isn't finished. Somewhere in a hidden Stark facility, beneath layers of encrypted AI systems and forgotten protocols, there could be a chamber humming quietly. A preserved body, a contingency labeled for the end of everything. Pepper might visit it in silence, not with despair, but with faith. Because she knows what we're only beginning to understand. Tony Stark always has a backup plan. And if the multiverse truly begins to burn, if Doom reshapes reality beyond recognition, if hope itself flickers on the edge of extinction, then maybe, just maybe, the greatest hero of the Infinity Saga will rise one more time. Not to repeat the past, but to complete it. The chamber doesn't open with a dramatic hiss. There are no alarms, no flashing lights, no countdown clock. It opens quietly, almost respectfully, like the world itself is holding its breath. By the time reality begins to fracture, the Avengers are no longer a united front. They are scattered across broken timelines, fighting wars that don't make sense against enemies who rewrite the rules mid-battle. Cities fold into themselves. Skies crack like glass. Entire universes collide in events the mystics call incursions. And at the center of this unraveling chaos stands one name spoken in fear across dimensions: Doom. This version of Victor isn't just a ruler of one nation. He's a conqueror of realities. A strategist who understands not only science, but destiny. Every move he makes feels pre-calculated decades in advance. Every loss the heroes suffer feels like something he allowed. And the most disturbing part, he doesn't rage. He doesn't boast. He simply knows. Somewhere deep inside the ruins of what was once Avengers Tower, now transformed into a multiversal command center, Pepper Potts watches as holographic projections flicker with collapsing timelines. She has seen war before. She has seen Thanos, but this is different. Thanos wanted balance. Doom wants authorship. He wants to write reality the way Tony once wrote code: clean, efficient, obedient. And that similarity is not lost on her. Because the more Doom speaks, the more he sounds like someone she once loved. Not in tone, not in warmth, but in logic, in conviction, in the unshakable belief that he alone can fix what's broken. The resistance is losing. Heroes from different universes, some familiar, some strangers, have joined forces. Sorcerers try to stitch together space-time. Scientists attempt to anchor fragments of collapsing worlds. Gods wield lightning against machines that adapt instantly. Nothing holds. And then the unthinkable happens. Doom wins a battle he was never supposed to win. A coalition of heroes launches a desperate assault on his stronghold, an impossible structure floating between realities, powered by stolen cosmic energy. The plan is airtight. Diversions, magical interference, quantum destabilizers. For a moment, it works. Doom is cornered. But then he removes his mask, not physically, strategically. He reveals that every move they made, every strategy they trusted, had already been anticipated. He dismantles them, not with brute force, but with precision. He isolates their leaders. He fractures their alliances. He forces them to confront versions of themselves from darker timelines, variants who made different choices and paid the price. When the dust settles, the resistance retreats. Not defeated entirely, but shaken. For the first time since Thanos, hope feels fragile. That night, Pepper stands alone in a dimly lit room beneath the compound. The chamber hums softly. Frost lingers against reinforced glass. Inside lies Tony Stark, preserved exactly as he was in his final moments. Not a monument, not a relic, a contingency. She places her hand against the glass. "You said we'd be okay," she whispers. "You said you were done." But she knows Tony Stark better than anyone. Done was never in his vocabulary. Upstairs, Reed Richards pores over data streams mapping the multiverse's decay. Beside him stands a child watching the chaos with unsettling calm Franklin. His eyes reflect more than fear. They reflect understanding. He can feel the fractures in existence like splinters in his skin. He knows he could fix some of it, maybe all of it. But every change has consequences. Bringing someone back, Reed says quietly, not looking at Pepper as she enters, is not like repairing a building. It shifts everything. Pepper doesn't flinch. Everything is already shifting. Reed hesitates. If Franklin alters reality on that scale, Doom will feel it. He'll know. From across the room, Franklin finally speaks. He already knows. Silence follows. Because Doom isn't just watching the battlefield. He's watching them. High above, in a citadel suspended between universes, Doom studies projections of countless timelines. In many of them, Tony Stark never died. In some, he became something worse. In a few rare strands of possibility, Stark returns after death, and those are the timelines Doom eliminates first. He understands something no one else has fully grasped. Tony Stark is the variable. In every reality where resistance succeeds, Stark is present. Not always as Iron Man, sometimes as a mentor, sometimes as an AI echo guiding heroes from the shadows, but always there, always influencing the outcome. Doom doesn't fear armies, he fears patterns, and Stark is the most dangerous pattern in existence. Back in the chamber, Pepper makes her choice. It's not impulsive, it's not desperate, it's strategic. Tony once told her that the world would always need a suit of armor around it. What he never realized was that sometimes the armor isn't metal. Sometimes it's hope. Sometimes it's a mind capable of seeing 5 moves ahead when everyone else sees only chaos. The procedure begins quietly. Cryogenic seals disengage. Systems that have lain dormant for years reactivate. Nanotechnology begins microscopic repairs at a cellular level, preserving what the Infinity Stones nearly destroyed. But this is only preservation. Resurrection requires something more. Franklin steps forward. He doesn't chant. He doesn't perform a ritual. He simply focuses. Reality around him bends subtly like air warping above heat. He isn't reversing death. He's rewriting the moment after it, creating a narrow corridor of possibility where Tony Stark's story didn't end, but paused. Across the multiverse, Doom feels it instantly, a disturbance, a thread he thought he had severed. He smiles for the first time in days. Interesting, he murmurs. In the chamber, Tony's arc reactor long dormant flickers faintly. Pepper's breath catches. The process isn't clean. Energy surges through systems not designed for miracles. Monitors spike. Franklin strains, sweat forming on his brow. Reed supports him, stabilizing the cosmic output. This isn't simply science or magic. It's something in between, the same gray area Tony thrived in, and then a heartbeat. Faint, irregular, but real. Pepper stumbles back, tears she hasn't allowed herself in years finally breaking free. For a moment, time feels still. The man who saved the universe lies there, not as a memory, not as a hologram, but as a living, breathing possibility. His eyes don't open, not yet. Because resurrection isn't the end of the journey, it's the beginning of another. Outside, Doom activates his next move. He doesn't attack the compound. He doesn't send drones or soldiers. He broadcasts a message across every remaining stable timeline. To the architects of resistance, his voice echoes, calm and unwavering. You are attempting to restore a variable I have already accounted for. Pepper freezes as the transmission fills the room. Understand this, Doom continues. If you bring him back, you do not restore balance. You escalate inevitability. The message cuts. Reed looks at Franklin. Franklin looks at the chamber. Tony's heartbeat steadies. The implications settle like ash. Doom expected this, which means one of two things. Either he has a countermeasure prepared, or he wants Tony alive. Hours pass. Medical teams stabilize Tony's condition. His body is weak, but healing. Neural activity begins to normalize. The damage inflicted by wielding the Infinity Stones was catastrophic. But Franklin's intervention repaired the fatal fractures. What remains is recovery. Pepper sits beside him as machines hum softly. You don't get to leave like that, she whispers. Not when the story isn't finished. Across realities, Doom recalibrates his projections. The timeline branches he had eliminated begin to reappear. Possibilities multiply. The board has changed. The variable is active again. And for the first time, Doom feels something unfamiliar. Not fear, anticipation. Because if Tony Stark returns, this is no longer a war of domination. It becomes a duel of minds. In the quiet of the chamber, Tony's fingers twitch, a subtle movement, barely noticeable. But Pepper sees it. And somewhere in the vast expanse between universes, Doom turns his gaze toward Earth, not with concern, but with something almost like recognition. Two geniuses, two philosophies, two versions of what ultimate control could look like. The multiverse trembles not because of armies or cosmic storms, but because its most dangerous strategist is waking up. And when Tony Stark finally opens his eyes, the first thing he sees won't be a battlefield. It will be the consequences of a world that tried to survive without him. When Tony Stark opens his eyes, it isn't to applause or alarms, it's to silence. A silence so heavy it feels unfamiliar. For a moment, he doesn't move. His mind, once the fastest processor in any room, takes its time catching up to reality. He remembers the battlefield, the weight of the gauntlet, the surge of power ripping through every nerve, the snap, and then nothing. Now there is something, light above him, machines humming, and Pepper. Her face carries years he doesn't remember living. There are lines of strength where grief once sat. When she sees recognition in his eyes, she doesn't speak immediately. She lets the moment breathe. Because this isn't just a reunion, it's a disruption of fate. You died, Tony says softly, voice fragile but unmistakably his. I know, she replies. There's no dramatic embrace, no tears flooding the room. Just two people understanding that the world has bent in ways neither of them fully comprehend. Tony sits up slowly, muscles trembling, arc reactor faint but alive in his chest. He looks around at unfamiliar tech, upgraded systems, designs he didn't build. How long? He asks. Long enough, Pepper answers. Upstairs, the compound feels different. Word spreads quietly. The legends thought buried have weight again. When Tony steps into the main operations room, conversations stop. Some faces are familiar. Others belong to heroes from worlds he's never seen. He notices that immediately. The fractures in reality are visible even without screens. This isn't a normal Tuesday, is it? He mutters. Reed Richards approaches, explaining incursions, collapsing timelines, and a conqueror reshaping existence. Tony listens without interrupting, but his eyes move constantly, absorbing data, patterns, weaknesses. He doesn't need a full briefing to understand one thing: they're losing. And you thought bringing me back was the solution? Tony asks, half joking, half serious. No, Reed replies evenly. We thought you were the variable. Tony pauses at that. Variable. He's been called many things: genius, hero, liability. But variable hits differently. It suggests unpredictability. It suggests potential. In a citadel suspended between dimensions, Doom watches the live feed from a stolen satellite. Tony Stark alive again. Not a variant, not a hologram, the original. Doom doesn't look surprised. If anything, he looks validated. So you return, Doom murmurs to himself. Good. Because this was never about eliminating Stark. It was about proving superiority. Doom doesn't want a universe without Tony Stark. He wants a universe where Tony Stark acknowledges him as inevitable. Back on Earth, Tony stands before holographic projections of fractured worlds. He studies Doom's architecture, his fusion of science and sorcery. The design is brilliant, ruthless, elegant. He thinks he's saving reality, Tony says quietly. Pepper watches him carefully. He's destroying it. Depends on perspective, Tony replies. If you think chaos is the problem, control looks like salvation. It's a line that hangs heavier than anyone expects, because it echoes thoughts Tony once had himself. Build a suit of armor around the world. Prevent the next disaster before it happens. Ultron was born from that logic. Doom perfected it. That realization unsettles Tony more than any battle could. Later, alone with Pepper, he finally asks the question he's been avoiding. What did it cost? She understands immediately. Franklin shifted reality. It wasn't free. Tony closes his eyes briefly. Even in resurrection, there's a debt. There's always a debt. So I'm a cosmic loan, he mutters. You're a choice, Pepper corrects. Meanwhile, Franklin feels the strain of his action ripple outward. The multiverse adjusted to accommodate Tony's return, but in doing so, it accelerated Doom's consolidation of power. Every move has a counterweight. Doom begins merging stable timelines into a singular controlled domain battle world, a reality under his authorship. Heroes gather for one final assault. Not a reckless charge, but a calculated infiltration. Tony doesn't rush into armor immediately. Instead, he spends hours designing something new. Not just a suit, but a system capable of interfacing with multiversal energy itself. It's not about overpowering Doom, it's about outthinking him. As he works, Morgan's holographic message recorded years ago plays in the background. "I love you 3000. His hands pause. This time, the stakes aren't abstract. They aren't just about survival. They're about legacy. About proving that sacrifice wasn't a one-time act, but a philosophy. The day of confrontation arrives without ceremony. Battleworld looms like a stitched-together nightmare pieces of cities from different universes fused into one landscape. The sky flickers between realities. Doom waits at the center, not hiding, not fleeing. When Tony descends in his new armor, it isn't flashy, it's refined, streamlined, controlled. Doom tilts his head slightly. "You look improved." "Had some downtime," Tony replies. They circle each other slowly, not striking immediately, because both know this isn't decided by the first blow. It's decided by insight. "You see the fractures," Doom begins. "You understand the instability. I am preventing total annihilation." "By playing God?" Tony counters. "By being competent." The words sting because they're not entirely false. Doom isn't insane. He's logical to a terrifying degree. He shows Tony projections, timelines where chaos consumed everything, worlds where heroes failed. In each one, Doom's intervention prevented collapse. "You built Ultron because you feared extinction," Doom says calmly. "You are no different from me." Tony doesn't deny it. That's what unsettles Doom for the first time. "You're right," Tony admits. "I was wrong." That simple acknowledgement shifts the atmosphere. "I learned something when I snapped my fingers," Tony continues. "Control isn't the answer. Choice is." Doom's eyes narrow. Choice leads to chaos. "Yeah," Tony shrugs slightly, "but it also leads to growth." The battle begins not with explosions, but with code. Tony hacks into Doom's systems mid-conversation, embedding counter-algorithms disguised as compliance protocols. Doom retaliates with sorcery-infused technology, warping the battlefield itself. Buildings twist, gravity shifts, energy blasts ripple through unstable sky. Other heroes engage Doom's forces, but they keep distance from the central duel. They understand this is personal, philosophical. At one critical moment, Doom gains the upper hand. He immobilizes Tony mid-air, armor systems failing under mystical pressure. "You will always be reactive," Doom states. "I am proactive." Tony's helmet retracts, revealing a faint smile. "You sure about that?" Because the entire confrontation was a distraction. While Doom focused on proving superiority, Tony's system infiltrated Battleworld's core, its central stabilizer powered by stolen multiversal energy. Instead of destroying it, Tony rewrote its parameters. He didn't design a bomb, he designed a release. Across the stitched-together sky, fractures begin separating. Realities untangle. Worlds pull back toward their natural states. Doom realizes too late. Tony isn't trying to win control. He's dismantling the concept of centralized control altogether. "You would risk collapse?" Doom demands. "No," Tony answers. I trust them to survive. With Franklin's subtle assistance amplifying the recalibration, the multiverse stabilizes not under Doom's authorship, but under restored independence. Battleworld dissolves. Doom's power weakens as his singular domain fractures. In a final surge, Doom attempts one last strike. Tony meets it head-on. Energy collides in a blinding eruption that echoes across dimensions. When the light fades, Doom stands defeated, not destroyed, but stripped of dominion. His mask cracked, his certainty shaken. Tony lands, armor heavily damaged. You could have ruled, Doom says quietly. Tony exhales. Been there. Not worth it. Authorities from multiple universes secure Doom. His era of control ended not by brute force, but by philosophical defeat. As reality settles, Tony stands amid calm skies for the first time since waking. Pepper approaches slowly. This time, there are tears. Not of grief, of release. You're staying? She asked carefully. Tony looks at the horizon, at a world no longer on the brink. For now, he says, but not as the guy who fixes everything. He's changed. Resurrection didn't make him reckless. It made him reflective. He mentors. He builds quietly. He prepares others instead of preparing armor around them. The multiverse saga concludes not with another snap, but with balance restored through trust. In the final scene, Tony records a message, not a contingency, not a goodbye. If you're watching this, he begins, it means the world's still spinning. That's good. Means you handled it. I'm not the future. You are. I was just the mechanic. He smiles softly. Iron Man's legacy was never about the suit. It was about evolution, about confronting fear and choosing better. And somewhere in the vast web of infinite realities, one constant remains, not inevitability, choice. If you felt that journey, if you believe some heroes never truly fade, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Because in stories like these, the next chapter is always closer than we think.